Design is the art of making intelligent decisions. Intelligent decisions are those decisions which yield the highest amounts of sustainable well-being for the least amount of energy consumed in the process, be that energy, time, money, natural resources, hassle, uncertainty, etc. And design begins with a possibility field. And so, as I learned design in the landscape industry, the possibility field is, there's 4,500 plant varieties on the market, is just one example. There are all of these different hundreds of types of stones available to build with. There are, these soil amendments and these soil amendments, and we could do a pathway here or we could do a pathway here. But while I'm using, landscape as a metaphor, design is the process of grounding imagination in a filtering for efficiency. And so if I'm looking at a job, one of the first things that I need to do is I have to define and rank my values. So for example, I might have flexible time. I want my schedule to be flexible. Well, what does that mean? Well, I want to start work during the day when I want to start it and only work as many hours as I want to work. And then how important that is to me. Well, that's a 9. Okay, so now we've taken the flexible time as an abstract form down to a subjective definition of what flexible time is for me, and then we're ranking it at a 9. And then we have, what's the next value? Low capital expenditure. Well, what is that to me? Not more than $10,000 to start the job. Okay, so now we again, and how important is that? Let's say that's an 8. And I want it to be fun. Well, what's that to me? Well, I enjoy doing things with my hands. I enjoy doing things alone or with small groups of people. I enjoy. And so we define fun in a variety of strategies that correlate with fun. And then we look at availability. That just means that upon opening the business that there is a ready marketplace, as opposed to, for example, starting a space touring industry. There's not an established market for that. It's going to take more than $10,000. It's a Herculean effort, and so I'm not going to be able to, have a lot of flexible time, so that's out of the picture. It's available. Well, if you're a hairdresser, there are people who need haircuts, and can you get into it for $10,000? Most certainly. Can you work your flexible time? It depends on your collaboration with partners or if it's a by appointment only business. And then there's also the probability field statistics. And if I think of gambling in Vegas, for example, 98% or more of the people who place 100 bets in Vegas come out of there with less money than when they went in. So that's a 98% failure rate. So if the goal is to come out with more money. There are other things, though, that have very good statistical success rates. 98% of all people who perform a basic service like having a haircut go away from the exchange with more money. It's very difficult to underbid a haircut, for example. And so it's not really, even if you botch it up completely and are very slow, it's not going to take more than an hour. If you're charging $20, worst case scenario, you get $20 an hour. And so the probability field of that is like 98, 99%. What's the probability of starting a space colony? Well, it's never been done, so the statistics are not rated. And so if I rank my values and then understand what each of them mean to me, have a certain level of intimacy, and then rank each one in how important that is. It's like, how important is it to win as opposed to engage in a challenge? Well, if it's really important to win, pick something that has a 98% success rate. 98% of all people who begin a haircut finish the haircut profitably. And so you've got something like that. Now, then you look at the possibility field. Now, this is really as big as imagination. I could be an Alsatian pet toenail cutter. I specialize in cutting Alsatians' toes. It's a possibility. I could be this. I could be that. I could run for president. It's a possibility. I could do this. I could run for mayor. I could do this and that and the other. So we have a possibility field, and in that possibility field, which is unweighted, it's like it's all a thought. There's no weight to it. I could do this. I could do that. The weight comes as we cross-reference a given possibility against the abstract values, the strategy of realizing those abstract values, and the subjective sense of what those values look like to me. In other words, it's not just free time. I want free time in the mornings most of all. And I want to be able to work between 2 and 6 hours a day as I decide. I want to decide when my work will be done, as opposed to have someone else, it has to be done this time. Okay, so that's a 9. So then we start filtering these possibilities, like, well, which ones would ground to that? Okay, so we could be a supervisor of our own business in this type of business and meet this objective. That type of business could be done with 10,000 in capital. It is fun in these types of criteria. There is an available market, and the probability field of success, as I'm defining success, is very high. And so this one does all of these things. This one over here, it's for less than $10,000, but it isn't fun. It doesn't have flexible time. It is available. So we're looking at the strength of different possibilities as cross-referenced with the values that they're grounded to. It's called grounded design or grounded imagination. And this possibility over here, great probability field, no flexibility in the hours. They'll pay you to start it. You don't even have to come up with 10,000. They'll give you 20,000 as a signing bonus, for this. And so, but it's not at all fun. And so it is the individual's prerogative to define what matters to them and what they value. That is the individual's prerogative. It is the individual's prerogative to define what those things mean. Everyone wants fun. Everyone wants to feel good. Everyone wants to enjoy their life. That doesn't mean that one person's enjoyment is another's. One person might love this driven 12-hour-a-day, in-the-flow work ethic and massive accomplishments, and that's their funnest thing, is to kind of break ahead of the pack and pioneer and innovate. Someone else, their whole definition of fun is the spontaneity of the moment, and I want to wake up and notice I want to do this, and fun is being able to do that and not have to put it on the shelf until later. Where someone else's definition of fun is being really close and having affirmative comments from lots of other people, which doesn't work if a job is to be done solo. For example, you can't play a piano and be surrounded and talking with people while you're playing in a piano in an orchestra. It distracts the other orchestra members, and it's, you can't hear while you're playing, and there's only so many people that can hammer on one piano, and so it's not a very team-like collaborative environment. And so the work begins with the deep analysis of value, which becomes the objective. And the value is itself a conduit for the larger definition of human well-being. Because if you are accurate in weighting your own values, one, and two, you do a good job cross-referencing your possibilities to be able to realize one of them that meets all your criteria, your well-being will be significantly higher. And if you make a mistake, it will be because you didn't understand that perhaps you didn't understand that being alone felt miserable to you, and so you thought it was nice, but it wasn't, and so you do it for a bit, and then you pivot to change to something else. But design is the process of correlating possibility with values that we personally hold, and integrating our behavior to realize the possibilities that we value or say we do. And its limitations are how well we know ourselves, how much energy we're willing to invest. For example, if you do want to be a hairdresser and you realize that would be a great career and it takes 200 hours to learn hairdressing, are you willing to invest the 200 hours? The more every hour you invest in that direction is taking the possibility into the terrain of probability, which shortly after that is actuality. If you keep taking possibilities and making them more and more probable, eventually a good number of them become actual. And so, as part of that, we had the capital investment defined, but you might also define a number of hours. I'm not willing to put in more than 1,000 hours to train and become the person that could do this. And many sophisticated roles, in this case we're looking at career, require more than 1,000 hours of competent training. Some let you learn on the job and be paid. That would be a bonus. And how much of a bonus is that for you? If you've got a trust fund, it may not be relevant at all. If you're living hand to mouth, you may need a job that lets you learn on the job and steadily increase your wage within a company. So this is design. And it is the single most important technology that I'm aware of, because it is a technology of consciousness that facilitates transformational and rapid movement from possibilities of extreme well-being to actualities of extreme well-being. And I apply it in my landscape business. I apply it far more importantly in life design. I apply it in nonprofit. I apply it in something like this. Something like this interaction meets all of my criteria. And that's why I'm here, as opposed to doing something else in this moment.